Everyone has a story, and so does everything, antique, vintage, or curio.
I've seen only a very few of them, usually in top collections or in auctions. It's not common to find them online or things of that nature.
Like, we've had collections that have sold for, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Technological innovations, cultural significance, personal memories. What is it that gives each of these unique items their timeless quality?
You can't find these anywhere.
No. Join us as we blow off the dust and breathe new life into the past and the curious. Today on The Past and the Curious, we look at a whiskey jug that's keeping a tradition alive, a special edition of everyone's favorite slinking toy, and a vintage aluminum Christmas tree. Bridget admires a vintage aluminum tree that is sure to put the kitsch in Christmas.
It's not just beautiful, it's a huge convenience. I can set it up in about 15 minutes, and it takes no time to clean up at the end of Christmas.
Garth examines a special anniversary take on the ever-popular Slinky toy.
Sometimes the simpler things in life are the things we remember and are the things which, maybe we're still thinking about playing with 50 years later.
Sandy looks at some bulk salt-glazed whiskey jugs from before Prohibition.
More than just the fact that Julie has these from her family, it's particularly interesting that she has now gone back into the distilling business after quite a long break.
My name's Julie Shore. I'm also known as JD Shore, and I've brought in 2 of my family's whiskey jugs. Yeah, it's important for me to have them because part of my family history, they mean so much to me, having them and displaying them in my home.
For centuries, distilled liquors, ales, and other alcoholic beverages were the beverage of choice for most societies worldwide. This preference arose from a practical necessity. Waterways and drinking water were often contaminated, making alcohol the safer and healthier option. However, in the 19th century, a dramatic shift occurred in how alcohol was viewed. The temperance movement emerged, driven by the belief that drunkenness was a moral failing responsible for various societal issues. This movement gained momentum and led to the implementation of prohibition in the United States and other nations, banning the production, sale, and consumption of alcoholic beverages. Despite these strict laws, people found ways to obtain alcohol, often through loopholes or illegal means, as the desire for spirits persisted.
Julie, thank you for coming on the show today. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've brought in with you?
So these would have been from my family's old distillery, mid-1800s, early 1900s. These are close to my family, and it's the reason why I got into distilling too. The Icy Shore Distillery was a family business. There were 4 brothers, 2 sisters, and the parents. But I'm wondering, what can you tell me, Sandy?
These are a 1-gallon and 3-gallon jug, both of which are of earthenware construction and then finished off with a salt glaze. There was a lot of this done in North Carolina. It was a very popular industry of that region. However, they were made really all over North America and Europe as well. The other thing that these jugs feature is the lovely branding on the front, the Icy Shore and Company.
You can kind of imagine them in the distillery putting the stamp of their label on and then salt glazing. Like, I just find that fascinating.
Do we know how you are related to Icy Shore?
Yeah, so it would have been my great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Oh my goodness, so we're going back a few years, that's for sure.
Indeed.
One of the interesting things is that Prohibition was sort of a gradual process in the United States. It started at a state level and then became a federal law. Did your family move the business, or did they close immediately after it came into effect in North Carolina?
No, they moved the distillery to Virginia. And then a few years later, Virginia passed Prohibition, so they moved it to Jacksonville, Florida. But then it passed nationally.
Right. Something that many people may not realize is how connected Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada was to Prohibition in the United States. There was a huge amount of liquor that was shipped down through the process of bootlegging, predominantly in what were old fishing schooners.
So Sandy, why would you think stoneware would be used for storing whiskey?
Well, of course, when we look at the development of stoneware, it's coming from a time when there wasn't glass. You know, the history of stoneware goes back that far. And then it continues on to a period during which glass was very expensive to produce. So we saw a lot of stoneware materials used for storing things like wine in ancient Greece because it was much less expensive and, of course, much less fragile than glass. Moving into the 19th and 20th centuries, we see that theme continued. You know, this was something that was much more durable than a glass jug of this size. They could be chipped and so on, and they still wouldn't shatter. There was quite an industry of producing earthenware and stoneware materials in North Carolina because of the clay that was in the area. So Julie, you've very much kept this family tradition of distilling alive. Is that correct?
It is. It is. We have a distillery right here in Halifax making JD Shore rum.
That's wonderful that you're following in that legacy of these earlier generations of your family. Were you the sort of first one to take up the distilling business again?
It's been 4 generations since we've had a distillery, so we're back at it.
Of course, Julie, you know, you walk into a liquor store today and what you see is almost all just those glass bottles. They're certainly not making them like this anymore.
No, they're not.
In your experience, is anyone using these stoneware jugs like this for their whiskey and their rum anymore, or can you even get these in a commercial supply?
I don't think so. I mean, these are heavy. Like, they were shipping these.
Oh, yes.
Can you imagine shipping these?
Yes, it would certainly cut into your margins a little bit to be shipping your product out in these. What sort of thoughts do they elicit when you look at them?
Well, you know, I really treasure them, and my ancestors mean a lot to me. I truly believe they helped me do what I do today, and that they're with me, and looking on them it warms my heart to be a part of the shore.
Oh, that's lovely. So they really are sort of an invaluable piece of your family's history.
They are.
Julie, thank you for bringing in these wonderful heirlooms from your family. Tell me, what are the plans for them going forward?
Oh, they're definitely staying with me, and I hope to add more to the collection.
Now, I'm quite confident that I know the answer to this question, Julie, but would you ever sell these?
No. No. That's a hard no.
Stoneware collecting is something that tends to be quite highly regional. So something like this, whereas it's from North Carolina, would attain its greatest price there. Something like this, dating from this period, but featuring the labeling, because a lot of these pieces, in fact, the vast majority that you see, don't have any sort of label on the front. I could quite comfortably see a pair like this going for somewhere in the region of around $500 or $550 for the pair.
Wow. They're way more valuable to me.
Oh, I can certainly understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, with their having been in the family over 100 years, you know, it's of no great surprise that the value is with that history and tangible connection to your ancestors. This is one of those cases in which the best part about these items was the family history and family connection, and the fact that these have remained in the family so long, you know, more than 100 years. And what pride Julie has in that family history, and that she has managed to revive it today.
It really means a lot to me to continue on the legacy of distilling under the Shore name.
Thank you for coming on the show today and bringing these wonderful pieces of your family's heritage along with you.
Thank you, and it's great being on your show.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
Coming up on The Past and the Curious.
The appreciation of mechanical things like a slinky is not the same as it was in, say, 1950, although this toy has had a remarkable history of revival.
My name is Vince Gritani, and I brought in an iconic slinky. Well, I'm a writer by trade, and I spend a lot of time thinking. And literally, I've taken that thing off the shelf, out of the box, and I'll sit there and just, you know, there's gotta be an answer. Where should I take this?
The 40th anniversary brass slinky was meticulously crafted by James Industries, a company with a rich history in the toy industry. Founded by Richard T. James after World War II, James Industries became synonymous with innovation and quality, with the slinky being one of their most iconic products. In a dramatic turn of events, Richard James left the country to become an evangelical missionary in Bolivia, abandoning his family and leaving behind a company on the brink of bankruptcy. His wife, Betty, was left to pick up the pieces. Under Betty's capable leadership, James Industries not only preserved the legacy of the Slinky, but also expanded its product line and reached new markets. The 40th anniversary brass Slinky, released in 1985, is a testament to the company's dedication to quality and innovation, as well as to Betty's remarkable leadership. Betty moved the company from Philadelphia to Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania, initiated an active advertising campaign, and introduced new versions of the iconic toy. Her efforts not only saved the company, but also ensured the Slinky's place as a beloved childhood toy for generations to come. She was inducted into the Toy Industry Hall of Fame in 2001, solidifying her place in the history of the toy industry.
Good day, Vince.
Hello there.
It's nice to have you with us.
Oh, thanks for that.
I see there's an interesting and somewhat familiar item in front of us. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
This is probably one of the iconic toys of the 50s.
Is the Slinky a toy you had some experience with growing up?
Yeah, I did have one. It was silver at that time. I sat there and watched it for hours. It did nothing. It went down the stairs, and that's about it.
It's a very interesting toy, and as you say, it looks very simple. There was a gentleman named Richard James, who was a naval mechanical engineer. He and some coworkers were working on a project to make suspension systems for sensitive equipment so that on a ship, it would be protected during high seas and stuff. One of the springs kind of had a mind of its own and supposedly tumbled kind of over a book, and it ended up in the vertical on the floor. So over the next couple of years, this was developed. Although Richard James was credited with the invention/discovery of the Slinky, it was really his wife Betty who has kept it going for all these years. I think it's great that a Slinky that's pretty much 40 years old has survived so well. The box certainly has protected the Slinky itself. The box has a little wear and tear, probably from being packed in a drawer in the closet and stuff. But overall, I'm quite impressed at how well you've kept your Slinky over the years. At the time, there were several different toys created around the idea of the Slinky. There were lots of DIY things done with the Slinky. People used them in their eavesdropping to stop the leaves from plugging up their gutters. It was used during the Vietnam War as an antenna because it stretches out to 80 feet, and it was actually quite effective and compact in doing that. Right around 2008, by that time, there was almost 300 million Slinkies that had sold since 1946. I'm no physics expert, Vince, but I do know that it's a combination of a physical principle called Hooke's Law and basic gravity that make the Slinky do what it does. One other thing in design, this is neither a tension spring or a compression spring, which are the two springs we usually see. This has both zero tension and zero compression. It's very interesting. Yes, the basic toy, we all had our ideas what was the most fun thing to do with it. Of course, the sound was a big signature and was actually known to be in the sound booth for radio shows and television and movies. It's a very versatile toy and very versatile item. It was used in musical instruments even for making a resonator. If you went online today, there's sites on do-it-yourself things to do with the Slinky that's no longer slinking. There's also Slinky competitions. In 2014, a couple gentlemen won an award for having the Slinky go down 30 stairs without falling over or failing. An amazing, iconic toy. It had many revivals over the years. You'd almost forget about the Slinky. And suddenly that little jingle was back on the television or the radio, and there were kids playing with the Slinky again. And although they did make varieties and different toys, the iconic toy is basically what we see in front of us. The appreciation of mechanical things like a Slinky is not the same as it was in, say, 1950. Although this toy has had a remarkable history of revival. So I suspect that in the near future, we're going to see the Slinkies back on the shelf again in pretty much every store that we can think of. It's amazing. There was supposedly 3 million feet of wire used over the years in the making of Slinkies, which supposedly would go around the earth 121 times. It just shows how iconic and how many have sold over the years. What part does the Slinky play in your life?
It sits on my desk right now, and when I get bored, I start playing with it.
Oh, so it actually still gets a bit of use.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have memories of a certain activity that the slinky was capable of that was fascinating to you?
I remember having a slinky that got stepped on, and it sort of created this oblong effect, but it no longer climbed the stairs anymore.
They were a toy that was known to be impossible to repair. Good job on keeping this in such good condition and still having the box to go with it.
I mean, Garth was wonderful. I'd never heard of anything, so much information about one tiny little toy.
The story of the slinky was basically an accident when a spring fell off a table. And that simple thing made millions and millions of dollars. It was great to see a slinky that was a little more aesthetically pleasing than what I'm used to seeing, like as a kid growing up. We didn't have one that was gold in a bright red box.
So do I have a treasure here?
Well, you have a treasure in that it is an anniversary version. And although you could probably go online and, find one to buy this afternoon, it's always great to see something right in front of you. What are your plans for the slinky going forward?
Well, immediately back on my desk, because I'm lost without playing with it. But who knows, I'll bequeath it to whoever comes forward and demands it.
In near perfect condition, a little better than this one, 40th anniversary slinky probably would retail for $40 to $50. This has got a little bit of wear and tear and shows a little bit of age, but I'd still be willing to offer $30.
No, not worth it. More fun than the money.
We've got this great toy in front of us. We really should try it out before you leave.
Go ahead.
Oh, I forgot how fun that is. Vince, I appreciate you slinking in here today and bringing this lovely 40th anniversary example.
Well, thanks, Garth, for filling me in on its history, but I think I'll just keep it for the time being. Now that I know all this information, the truth is it's still worth only a couple of bucks, but I don't care. It's hours of fun, as they say.
Coming up on The Past of the Curious.
Once the aluminum trees hit the market in the 1950s, companies saw other opportunities for artificial trees to be put into the homes.
My name is Mitch Millet, and today I brought in an aluminum Christmas tree. I like it because it's very sparkly and not like a usual Christmas tree.
Just as the stockings are hung by the chimney with care, evergreen branches are decorated with bulbs, lights, and other loving mementos. Topped with an angel or a star, the Christmas tree fills the home with its warm glow and presides over the presents piled up at its base. Long before Christmas was a celebrated holiday, evergreen boughs and branches were common wintertime decor in many countries. Strewn over doors and window, they served as a reminder of the green spring during the dark winter months and were considered useful in warding off evil spirits. The earliest records of Christmas trees in North America come from German settlers in Sorel, Quebec in 1781 who brought the tradition with them. Up until the mid-1800s, Christmas trees were viewed scornfully as pagan symbols by Christians. However, they eventually came around. This was due in no small part to Her Royal Highness Queen Victoria, who was depicted alongside her family around a decorated Christmas tree. In no time, evergreen trees would become a December mainstay in the homes of those who celebrate Christmas, and decorating the tree would become a beloved activity shared together by children and parents alike.
Midge, my sweet little daughter, thank you so much for coming on the show today to talk about this exciting Christmas tree with me. Now tell me, what do you know about it?
Well, this is our family Christmas tree that we put up every year. We decorate it with colorful Christmas vintage ornaments.
It definitely suits a vintage style ornament, and the more colorful, the better.
Yep.
Today we are looking at a vintage aluminum Christmas tree with pom-pom ends, and it's about 6 feet tall. It has around 46 branches, all that fit into a silver wooden pole.
How long have we had it?
Yeah, you probably wouldn't remember, but I got it when you were very small. I ordered it online because I was totally obsessed with them.
Do you know who made it?
Yes, actually, this particular tree was made by a company that was called Aluminum Specialties. So they probably did things like kitchen tools, maybe some metal toys, and then would have branched off to make aluminum Christmas trees when they became popular. In fact, I even have the box that it came in because they're really important to keep with the trees. And I'm just gonna show it to you here. The importance of keeping the boxes like this with the trees, as I'm sure you're aware because you've helped me set this tree up many times, is that it actually holds all of the paper sleeves that the branches come in. And I'm just gonna show you really quickly how easily they tuck away. So the whole tree tucks into these and you pop it away and store it safely until next Christmas. And then when you're ready to set it up, you just pull it out again and pop it in the hole. And there you go. A company named Modern Coatings Inc. in Chicago created the first aluminum tree in 1958, and they started the entire Evergreen brand in 1959.
I didn't know how old the tree was. That was very surprising. Were they all silver?
You know what? They started out silver and they were slightly different variations. This one's actually known as a pom-pom tree because of the way the branches kind of puff out at the end like a pom-pom. They came in numerous colors. The most popular were pink and blue. Some would have different color tips. Honestly, the more flashy and colorful, the better. So they came in tons of different variations.
Were they popular around that time?
Oh, absolutely. Through the late 1950s into the 1960s, they were super popular until a certain very popular Christmas movie came out that showcased how special it was to have a real tree in your home again.
Why have we never put Christmas lights on this tree before?
Oh, I have a very good answer for that. You see, aluminum is a conductive metal, so if you put electricity on it, you're going to get electrocuted and also it'll catch on fire. These are super flammable if they're in touch with electricity, so we just let them sparkle on their own.
I'll be a little more careful now that I know it could burst into flames. Was this the first type of artificial tree?
You know what? The Germans came out with a goose feather tree in the 1880s. And then in the 1930s, bottle brush trees came out. They're kind of smaller versions of trees that were so cute. And after that, this was the first kind of full-size artificial tree that came into the home, and they certainly took off after this. Midge, when you look at this cute little Christmas tree, what does it make you think about?
It makes me think that it would look amazing in my bedroom.
Maybe next year we consider you having it in your room. A tree like this really evokes a lot of nostalgia, and it's something really special that we actually can do together. I love taking it out every Christmas and putting it together with you, and then at the end of the season, just popping it back in the closet. Nowadays, finding a tree like this is definitely not as easy. If you're a collector, you're gonna wanna have one of them in your home, but if you're looking for an artificial tree, they don't make them like this anymore, so you're more likely to get one that looks more like a real tree, maybe with lights in it. I loved bringing Midge into film today. It is such a special tree, and I really enjoy setting the tree up with Midge every Christmas and taking it down together, so it was really fun to get to teach her a little more about the background of it. Midge, what do you think the plan is with this tree moving forward?
I think we're gonna pack it up and set it up next Christmas.
I can't wait. Now, Midge, is this tree something that you would want to inherit from me?
Yes, please. And I think I'm gonna put it in my room.
Of course you will. I do actually think it would look super sick in your room.
I agree. I like spending time with my mom during Christmas, and we get to put it up every year.
Midge, thank you so much for coming on the show today with our Christmas tree. It was really fun to have you on and talk about the history of it.
Thanks for teaching me a bit about it, Mom.